one of the first things I did starting off my career was to set career goals and timeline. I like to put myself under some reasonable pressure. So, for instance, when I was in school, I said to myself, I must graduate at 20. I didn't care about whether there was strike or not, but I didn't achieve that. I think I finished at 22. But, it helped me to always go out and keep that goal in focus. Same also with your career. If you want, maybe you're just finishing school and you're saying, oh, I want to be here 10 years, I want to be here 20 years. What are you doing now? What career goal are you setting? What career goal are you setting? By the grace of God, your career will span 30, 40 years. It's your goal. It's your goal that's, how will I put it? Is this something that you are committed to for as long as 20, 30 years? So for me, mine was simple. I want to make it to the zenith of my career and I want to still serve God. That was my career. That remains my career goal. I want to make it to the zenith of my career and I want to serve God. And you may be wondering, why bring God into it? I also knew that, to navigate through the ranks and file to the top, sometimes you face unethical challenges. And I wanted to put myself under pressure to say, when those times come, let me stand for God. When those times come, let me not fall because I want to get to the top. Yes, sometimes it looks as if you've lost, but ultimately you've not lost. Because God will always help us. So set your career goals and put timelines. So you are a trainee today. What time do you need to make a manager? What time do you need to make a senior manager? And what time do you need to make an executive? Have those definite timelines. The reason why I'm saying this is because some of my colleagues that we entered consulting on the same day, they probably didn't have any career goal. And so maybe some of them spent too many times so long as associates. I was very specific. So at the point when it looked like I was spending too much at a particular level, I'll begin to ask myself, what, why? And like someone advised me, if you're not moving fast, try and make your boss redundant. I don't know if that resonates with anybody. If you're not moving fast, try and make your boss redundant, and that has really helped. Let me go to the second point. You have to be very deliberate and consistent with learning. When I started off in my career, we didn't have this dynamism like we have today. So maybe I have my first degree, I have my master's, I have my ICANN. For me, that was enough. That's a very wrong mindset today. Because what we did then was we finished learning and schooling and training. And so we're doing our jobs based on what we have known like 5, 10 years ago. If you try that today, you'll be so redundant. So you have to embrace continuous, consistent learning. And when I speak to younger folks about this, they always tell me, my company doesn't train me or they don't train me enough. The truth is, your company will never train you enough. You have to look for means to train yourself. Like Vinita mentioned, there are so many free online courses. Even there are some that you have to pay for the purpose of learning. The organization will set training goals based on the budget. Maybe if you need to be trained abroad, because of economic reasons, the organization will just set the training to be a local one. So take interest in your self-development. Don't wait for other people to train you. If they do, that's fine. But again, like I said, if you want to make your boss redundant, you have to know to the level of your boss and even more than him. And how will you achieve that if you don't learn, if you don't gain these experiences? I don't know about you, but one of the frustrating things I find when I talk to people about this, I say to them, average people don't go far. Exceptional people do. Excellent people do. And excellence has a price. Excellence has a price. So many times people want to get promoted. The accolades are coming promotion, but they don't want to pay the price. It's hard work to move from one level to the other. It's hard work. I've come this far in my career, but I will tell you it's been very sacrificial. Sometimes because I want to learn, I will sacrifice my weekends. Sometimes because I want to learn, I'll work late. When I was in audit, I said to myself, I'll be the best in what I do. So there was this partner then that she was known for the quality of her job. And back in those days, not like now that you used to lock everything. Then, our files would be on the server and you can access it. So I'll go to the office every weekend. I will access our file and I'll be studying every work paper that she had ever reviewed. I will study the way she reviewed her review comments. I'll be studying like I was reading a book. And that really helped me in my career as an auditor. Because sometimes you go and do a job and they're like, how did you know this? I'll just be laughing. Because when they were doing other things, I was paying the price for excellence. The truth is, you may never know who you work with. I've worked with the good, the bad, and the ugly. But the beautiful thing about my experience is that, irrespective of who I work with, I find a way to be the best that they have. Say today, experiences today, a staff will say, so I don't like my boss. And because you don't like your boss, you don't work. You spend the day grumbling, I don't like my boss, I don't like my boss, you don't work. Who will promote you? Who will recommend you for promotion? That same boss. So if you don't like him and you don't do the work, that means you just be there. God will help us. It is not about acquiring numerous certifications, but what does it amount to? Does it amount to value? Does it amount to value? I was given an illustration the other time. There is this former colleague of mine, very good friend of mine, but when we were busy doing audits and getting excited about the experience, he was gaining value. At that time, we thought he was just busy wasting his time, but he was gaining value. He had foresight. And now when the new standard came on board, he was the go-to person. And that value accelerated his career. When we were struggling to become managers, senior managers, he was way, way ahead of us. Why? He had value. You want to rise to the rank, what value are you bringing? What are you doing extra? Companies will pay so much for that great value. So if you don't have value, then you probably shouldn't be bothered about growing through the ranks to become an executive because you won't get there. Those who make it there are those who have something to offer and something that organization cannot resist. Do you have such? Do you have such? My next point is something I want us to really take seriously, especially in our time. And Femi did a great job talking about it. Please be audacious. Have audacity if you have value. And the flip side is that if you don't have value, please don't have audacity. If you don't have value, please. No, the reason why I want to put that caveat out there is because when somebody demonstrates audacity, what happens? It takes the attention of other people. You have guts. You have boldness. Now, you cannot take their attention and not give them anything. If you take their attention, you must give them something. So if you have value, then have the audacity to put it out there. Growing up in the early days of our career, we like to say, let our work do the talking. That work doesn't talk again. No. Today, if you show me the value, they want to see who owns the value. Who owns the value? Femi did a great job trying to say these things. That if you're not careful, someone will take your value and go and take your shine. And if you want to rise in the corporate world, that should not happen. As it is today, what some people do, they are looking for whose shine to take. If you doubt me, go to your office, size all your colleagues. There are some, they don't do anything. They are good at being psychophants. They want to stay in the face of the boss, but they don't have the value. And now you that have value, you're not hiding. You go and spend the night, do a great job, great output, great result, but you're not timid to put it out there. Someone will take your shine. And you can cry for what you want to cry. So please, if you have value, take that bold step and put it out there. One other thing I want to say to people who want to grow their careers, always sniff around for information in your organization. And I don't mean it in a bad sense. I don't mean it for you to take information and use it for gossip. No. Sniff around for information. If you hear about any problem, ask yourself, can I solve this problem? If you can solve problems of organization, you will rise fast. An example, there was a time I wanted to go for a pitch with GTB. And in the room, among the executives, we didn't have the best of relationships with, we call them decision makers in GT. The person that came with that strongest decision, with that strongest connection, was his staff. And so he heard us talking about, oh, GT, we are running up and down, trying to put slides together, trying to brainstorm how we approach that pitch. Seemingly significant staff came on board and said he has a relationship. That relationship gave us that job. All of us, big executives, we didn't have that relationship. But this young man who had it, he put it on the table. And do you think we will win that pitch in GC and not reward that person? That person will get like double promotion the next appraisal cycle. So sniff around for problems that your organization have and ask yourself, can I solve it? If you can solve it, then trust me, you will rise. Many times in corporate world, people are busy gossiping, lazing around, not putting their best. And so even when the organization has a problem, they care less about it. You say, I can't come and kill myself. But if you identify that problem and you put your heart at solving it, whether directly or indirectly, you will get rewarded. And let's even assume that your organization does not reward you. That value you bring, some other person will see it and will reward you. So I'll talk about the essence of having the right connection. Having the right connection. In your day-to-day life, you come across many people. Like Femi said, some are gatekeepers, some will be the kings. But try and treat people very well. I had this experience a few years ago. There was this staff that worked with me years ago when we were in consulting. And she left there and went to another organization. So in that other organization, they were looking for someone to really put straight the finance department. And she spent several months talking to one of the business about me. I didn't know about it. She said, no, there's someone I will bring that will sort all these problems. There's someone I will bring that will, all your troubles will be gone. She was just busy, selling my CV. And so she reached out to me after a while. I wasn't interested at that time. And she was disturbing me for 5 months until I finally considered that offer and made that switch. What am I saying? She identified a value. And even though she was somewhere else, she was still making reference to it. If I did not treat her well, she probably wouldn't do that referral. If I was a difficult boss, she probably would not want to have anything to do with me. So whether you are relating upward or downward, just treat people nicely. I'm not saying compromise on standard. I'm just saying be true, be fair, be firm as well. Because you don't know who will link you to your king. You don't know who will link you to that opportunity. So try and keep the right connect. While talking, I'm tempted to say praise the Lord. So I've talked about solving problems and building relationships. A few years ago when I was to be interviewed for a role in the US office, things stood out for me, and I want to really summarize with that experience. Before then, I put myself under pressure, deliver the right quality of work, but I felt I wasn't getting recognition. Like my brother this year, I felt I wasn't getting the much that should come with the effort I was putting in, but I kept at it. And so when it was time for us to go for secondment, we had like 20 persons who were enlisted. I didn't count myself to make that list because I worked in a place where there was so much tribalism, there was so much sentiments around there. And I had to deal with it because I also needed to rise. So this opportunity came. And incidentally, it wasn't to be handled by the Nigerian office. It was to be handled by the foreign office. And so that process started. It was a very long one, but I discovered that as we were progressing, many people were being dropped. I was wondering why, but I just kept at it. At the end of the day, I was the last man standing. So every other person had dropped by the wayside. And what helped me? When I asked questions, they said, listen, go back to your last 4 or 5 appraisals. And my last 4 or 5 appraisals, I was being scored like 90 over 100. And so they said to me, what even brought you into the room was that consistency. And the second point was that even though they had seen my appraisal for the last 5 years, when I had the opportunity, I demonstrated that that appraisal was not a fluke. It wasn't a flash in the pan. So it wasn't a case of having certification but not having the value. So I want to say to us, young persons, be consistent in developing value. Don't know where to take you to. In my own case, it was a shock that after several rounds of interviews with 20 persons who started, I was the last person standing. It was really fulfilling for me. That experience is one of the best I've had. Going to work on global clients in the US. But you can achieve more. You can achieve more. My prayer is that everything we have learned today, we should take it serious. It's not enough for us to come and stand and talk. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Do you have career goals set? Do you have timeline set? I said to myself when I was in consulting, I want to make partner at 40. And I worked assiduously to make it. Even though it didn't happen, but I feel very fulfilled because I give you my best shot. What about you? What about you? What goals are you setting? What goals are you setting? Are you a problem solver or you complain? Complain. Most times when I tell my different teams how I hate average people, they get offended. I say, listen, I'm not trying to piss you off. I'm just trying to make you attain the best version of yourself. We have many people who are too complacent. They just come. My team will say to me, they want to work to the extent to which they are paid. I say, that means you remain here forever. Because the truth is, what's your value? What's your value? How much is your value? So for me, my advice would be, if your value is 1 million, even if you are paid 100, keep increasing that value. Because someday, somebody will come and pay 2 million for that value. But if you go to a place and you are paid 100, and you now fit in 200 in terms of value, you're already shortchanging yourself, and you'll be the loser in the long run. So with these few points of mine, I don't know if I've convinced you about anything, but the beautiful thing is, a great career is possible, but the choice is yours. Choice is yours. Choice is yours. Thank you very much. So let's have questions.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Itoro. One thing I want to point out is what he said when he talked about leadership. You're a leader before you're a manager. Be an informal leader, whatever level you're at. When I worked in consulting, we would have, we used to do lots of tests for GT Bank, and we would rent maybe a hall, maybe in law school and places like that. So we would need to pay for security and all. My husband is a military personnel. So I said to my boss, I said, no, let's save the money. Because I'll call my husband. One time we were looking for invigilators and security and all. Then there were young officers. I called him and 3 or 4 of his friends. I said, please bring your guys, come and help us. They came to invigilate and also do some security work for us. When we finished, we paid them. I said, they are big boys. We can't pay them the 3, 4, 5. This was over like how many years ago that we'll pay the soldiers we'll get. We bought them lunch from Tantalizers. I had saved money for my firm. Where will I be in my boss's eye? At some point, there was now an opportunity in Abuja looking for who to go and head the office there. Of course, she asked me, will you go and head the office in Abuja? So it's that. So you be an informal leader wherever you are. The other thing is when you come in to become a manager, it's a title. How you lead your team now makes different for whatever role, whatever your circle of influence. That circle of influence, whatever, what impact do you have on your circle of influence wherever you're at, as an entry level, as a trainee, and as you go. When you build that character, that consistency I talked about is what will carry you through. That's where his 90% consistency over the years will come from, where you are giving your best at every point in time. If you are waiting till you get there, you'll never be that person. So you develop the character to be an informal leader wherever you're at right now.
Thank you very much, Pastor Itoro, and thank you very much, Ma. I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question for a career person that the career has plateaued. How do we reignite it?
Thank you. For such a person, I said something earlier about consistency in gaining knowledge, acquiring new skills. An example is I have a couple of friends who have gone abroad, and I want to put them into two categories. There were some, while they were here, maybe before the thought of going abroad came up, they were learning new skills. So some even left core accounting and began to learn data analytics and several other things. When they went abroad, it was easy to get a job because they already had the skills, and all they got abroad was just the environment to express themselves. There's another category that they didn't do all of that, and they also needed to go abroad. It was now when they went abroad and they didn't find the jobs for accountants that they now started learning other new skills. So my advice would be, even before you get to a point where someone's career will plateau, you should be reinventing yourself. You should be learning new things. So that in the event that maybe get plateaued on one level, there will be other exciting things to explore. So for instance, today I love accountancy, and I'm good at it, but there are other things that I've developed interest over the years. So if I get to a point tomorrow, I say, oh, I don't want to do accountancy anymore, there are other things that I'll venture into, and I'll both be fulfilled and I'll find profit in it. So start from today to develop other areas of interest.